The Miami Dolphins travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts in NFL Week 7, where they will attempt to get their second straight win coming after the bye week and go to 3-3 and be 500 on the year. They are currently 3-point underdogs in this game, which I actually don't understand why, but we will break down how the Dolphins can win this game in today's show. But I do want to talk about some injuries to watch. Now, no official injury report on today's show, but here are the players on Miami that could end up missing this game depending on how practices go the rest of the week. Jevon Holland, originally ruled out 2 weeks ago from Mike McDaniel. Well, it's not officially that case, at least in terms of filming this video. We'll see if he ultimately goes with that broken bone in his hand. David Long Jr. is working through a knee injury. Emmanuel Ogbah's got a bicep injury. Jordan Poyer has a shin injury. That's what kept him out in Week 5 against New England. And Mohamed Kamara, who has been a healthy scratch every single week, the 5th-round pick from Colorado State, is dealing with an ankle injury. Now, there's one guy not on this list of the name De'Von Achane because it's likely that he will return. He left that first quarter against the Patriots in Week 5 due to concussion protocol, but due to the bye week and having 2 weeks until the next game, it looks like he's progressing and able to get out of concussion protocol, and we'll likely see Achane on the field for Miami this week, which is needed because it's always nice to have the most weapons possible for this Dolphins offense without Tua Tagovailoa. On Indianapolis Colts side, they have a lot of injuries, a lot of DNPs earlier this week, but overall, these are the injuries that you got to watch for them. Key players on offense: Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr., Anthony Richardson, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith. Then you guys got some guys on the defensive end like Chris Lammons and EJ Speed as well, but the Colts are most definitely the more injured ball club when you talk about having their key players. Now, we'll see if any of these guys end up missing the game on Sunday, but there is a lot of nagging injuries for the Indianapolis Colts. And before we get into the keys to victory and how they should be able to beat the Indianapolis Colts, if you want the Dolphins to beat the Colts, to get their second straight win, to get back to 500, don't jinx it like the video. YouTube sends me a list of everybody who bypassed the option to like the video when the results come out on Monday. So trust me, if the Dolphins lose and I see your name on the list, I don't want to see it. Don't jinx it. Don't be on my shit list. All right, let's move into the keys to victory. And it's worth noting that Anthony Richardson, even though he was on the injuries to watch list, he is the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. He missed the last 2 weeks. He got hurt in the Week 4 game against the Steelers for the Colts, missed the last 2 weeks. Colts went 1-1 in those 2 games, losing to Jacksonville, beating Tennessee, and Joe Flacco looked extremely good in those games, and we detailed that on yesterday's video, how it's good news that Anthony Richardson is going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts this week. And this is good for Miami because one of the keys to victory here and how they need to beat the Colts is pressuring Anthony Richardson. If you didn't watch that video yesterday breaking down Richardson being the starter and being the good news for the Miami Dolphins, well, we'll give you a little bit of a refresher on our keys to victory because he is a wildly inaccurate quarterback and is not as dynamic and, I guess, scary for the Dolphins defense through the air than Joe Flacco would be. You see his pass chart right here. He really struggles on the intermediate throws from the line of scrimmage to about 10, 15 yards down the field. He's had a couple deep balls, but still not the most accurate in terms of completing. He's 5 of 14, and he throws past 20 yards. He has had some success between the hashes deep down the field, but left, right, not so much. And another reason why I said he needs to be pressured if the Dolphins want to win, well, it's because he crumbles under pressure. When we look at the stats of when Anthony Richardson is pressured when he's dropping back to pass, they are startling to see how poorly he performs. It only happens on 28.7% of his dropbacks, but when he does get pressured, 8 of 19, under a 50% completion percentage, only 146 yards, 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, and 11.1 turnover-worthy plays in terms of when he gets pressured and there's people in his grill and he has to make decisions while under duress, he will lead, at least the tendencies lead to him turning the ball over. So if you want to get to Anthony Richardson, you want to create turnovers, just get that pressure on him, and the rookie, or the second-year quarterback, I should say, will crumble under the pressure. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We will be live on Sunday for this Week 7 game. We will be live 1 hour before kickoff, so noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Join me, and we'll have Trizzy Trace and Jack Lotteray with us on Sunday, so make sure you hit that sub button. Join us for a fun watch party. more on Anthony Richardson. And I just want to display his season stats to this point because it really just displays how poorly of a passer he really is. Like I mentioned, the completion percentage under pressure is under 50%. Well, normally for Anthony Richardson, it's only 50%. He has not been effective in that area, and he will put the ball in harm's way. 6 interceptions so far this season. That is absolutely ridiculous that he has turned it over that much. Anthony Richardson will give you the football if you let him. You need to run the football. Key to victory number 2 here for the Miami Dolphins. And this was a major key for the Dolphins to win against the Patriots in Week 5. They ran it 40 times. 40, including 11 times on the game-winning drive. If they want to win again this week, they will have to lean on the run game. 40 times, maybe not, but definitely 25, 30 plus if you're asking me. And we'll display more stats on that in just a second, but we are sponsored by Public Rec, one of my favorite sponsors here at Dolphins Today. Let's be real, guys. Wearing pants sucks. Who decided that stiff, uncomfortable fabric digging into your family jewels was necessary to go out and look put together? Well, I'm here to tell you that those days are finally over. Public Rec has developed a revolutionary Daymaker pant that feels as comfortable as sweats but look and fit like tailored pants. You can finally have indoor comfort with outdoor style by wearing Public Rec's Daymaker pants. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off their entire order when you use code CHAT at publicrec.com. That's 20% off your order at publicrec.com with promo code CHAT. And the best part about Public Rec, they don't just make those awesome pants. They got other type of gear as well. Long sleeve tees, polos. They have anything you need, including some nice hoodies. And I'm telling you what, the pants are fantastic, but I can't complain about this shirt too. It fits good. It makes me look skinny. It's comfortable. It makes me feel like a new man out there walking the streets. I love Public Rec, and I implore you guys to join them right now. Stop the suffering in regular pants. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 20% off with code CHAT at publicrec.com. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show here at Dolphins Today and tell them we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you found Public Rec. That link is in the description and comments of today's video. Back to why you need to run the football for the Miami Dolphins. Because the Colts stink on the defensive side. They are the second worst defense in the National Football League. I could make the case that they are the worst defense in the NFL. They allow 155.2 rushing yards per game. That is second worst in the NFL, 31st overall. And they allow 389.5 yards a game in total. That's 30th in football. They just simply give up a lot of yardage. What does that tell you? Well, if you run the football and you don't set yourself up with stupid penalties and 1st and 20, 2nd and 15, 3rd and long, you should have absolutely no issue moving the football. Stay ahead of schedule. Don't pick up stupid penalties that put you in long yardage situations. Trust your offense and run the dang ball, to quote Sandra Bullock from The Blind Side. And you have 3 great running backs here. Now, I know not all year it hasn't been the most pretty numbers out there. You see Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert with their average yards per carry. It's in the 3s. That's no good. But when you see Jalen Wright come into the game against the Patriots and run for 6.6 yards per carry, have 86 yards, him and Mostert put New England away with that big-time game-winning drive where they ran the ball 11 out of 15 plays. You have to run the football with your 3 backs. And the beautiful thing about having Achane back is that you have a 3-headed monster, an absolute legendary running back trio that you can keep fresh. There should be no back that has more than 5 carries than the other. If you run the ball, let's say 32 times, it should legitimately be 10, 11, 11. I'm not kidding. Like, that's what I would do, because when you're able to keep them fresh, not hit as much, you're going to find more explosive runs. And they're going to be more rested, so when they see a hole created in the running gap schemes, then, whoo, those under 4.4 running backs, they hit that hole. They're out and running against the defense that simply just does not defend the run well. If I'm the Miami Dolphins and we see a win from Miami after Sunday on Monday morning, we should be able to look back and say, man, 30 carries, 189, 200 yards. Like, that's what we should be expecting this week, because that's how bad the Colts run defense is. All right, a couple more keys to victory coming up in just a second, but let me know who you got. You got the Dolphins winning this game and moving to 3-3, type MIA. If you got the Colts, type IND. My record, or my prediction, is coming at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Key to victory number 3. You got to handle pressure better if you're Tyler Huntley. Now, the same could be said for Anthony Richardson. That's a big key for them. Pressuring the quarterback is the name of the game. So you got to win on the defensive trenches. You got to win on the offensive trenches because Tyler Huntley has the same type of issues as Anthony Richardson against pressure. And specifically as a team this season, the Miami Dolphins have converted first downs on just 1 of 36 plays. 3% when their QB has been pressured this year. Now, a lot of that can come in different scenarios in terms of if it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 15, they get pressured. It's a lot different, but the numbers are the numbers. 1 of 36 is terrible. That's worse than the National Football League with 3%. The league average is 18%. So it's not something that should be expected to happen often. When you get pressured, it's going to be hard to make positive plays happen. But to be 15% under league average and be the worst in football, that can't happen. And I'm looking at you, Tyler Huntley. I like what you brought to the table in the 2 games that you started for the Fins. But you get pressured in 28.1% of your dropbacks in your 2 starts so far, and you're 4 of 12, so a worse completion percentage than Anthony Richardson, only completing 30 yards. No interceptions, no touchdowns, but he has actually had a higher turnover-worthy play percentage at 13.6. So when he's pressured, he's putting the ball in harm's way a little bit more than he should. It's not ideal that this is what we have to deal with, and I know this is where Tua would be helpful because if he's pressured, he knows how to get it out and get out of his hands and where his playmaker is going to be, and he's more accurate than Tyler Huntley. But to win this ball game, if the Colts do generate pressure, they don't have the best pass rush, but if they do, you got to be prepared and ready to make a play happen and not turn the ball over. All right, final key to victory. You got to continue the 3rd down dominance, man. You have been outstanding this season at getting your team, or opponent, I should say, off the football field. Now, the 3rd down offense hasn't been great, but the defense has been absolutely dominant, and it's been the probably biggest bright spot for this Dolphins football team in 2024. Anthony Weaver, in his first year as defensive coordinator, has these boys humming, and I'm telling you, if this Dolphins offense, and I know Tua's hurt, but through 5 games, if they were a league average offense, this team would be 4-1. In all seriousness, they would have beat New England. I think they would have beat Seattle. They already beat Jacksonville. They lost to Buffalo, and they would have beat Tennessee as well. I'm telling you, I think they would be 4-1 if their offense was able to sustain drives and just be league average. But when you talk about this defense and how good they've been on 3rd down, they have the best rate in football. When they get the opposing offense on to 3rd down, 25.4% of the time they allow a 3rd down. That is best in the National Football League by a wide margin, by the way. 4%. The next highest defense gets their opponent off the football field at 29.5%. This defense has been outstanding early on, and they need to continue that dominance. And they should have a good matchup as well against a team that has really struggled offensively when Anthony Richardson is their QB1. You have to be aware of A-Rich's mobility. He's ran for 140 yards this year and a score when he moves his legs and uses his ability to scramble. He's also a big physical runner, so you have to be ready to come up and lay the boom, if you will, with David Long Jr., Jordan Brooks. You cannot be afraid of that. He will not consistently beat you through the air. So I expect Anthony Weaver to develop some blitzes, maybe some QB spies, maybe some QB contains. Don't let A-Rich get outside the pocket and scramble because that's when he's at his best. Keep him in the pocket because he will miss throws and he will give you a chance to have an interception. He is not good at throwing the football. All right, I gave you 4 keys to victory. Now my predictions coming up in just a second. But do you know ball? What is your biggest key to victory for the Miami Dolphins this week? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. My official prediction, I think the Dolphins win. And unfortunately, I think I've predicted the Dolphins to win 4 out of the 5 games. I did not pick them to win against the Seahawks, but I picked them to beat the Jags, Bills, Titans, and Patriots. So I guess I'm, 2-2 in predictions? But I do think they win. 20-12 is my score prediction because you should be able to move the football against this poor Colts defense. And I think if you are able to get enough drives sustained, I think you could reach pay dirt twice. I think you could settle for a couple field goals, get 20 points. And with how this defense is playing, and hopefully those injuries that we talked about earlier don't actually come to fruition too often, and we don't have many people outside of potentially Jevon Holland, who's probably the guy that I think is going to play the least. And if you have a kind of healthy offense or defense, you should be able to contain Indianapolis to, 1 touchdown, a couple field goals, something like that. I don't know. I think you're able to win this football game. And that brings me to this. Let's make a run, folks. We have an easy schedule ahead of us. Colts, Cardinals, Bills, Rams, Raiders, Patriots. 5 of those 6 teams are bad football teams. If you're able to win this week, you're 3-3. Morale is high. Tua potentially returns next week for week 8 against the Cardinals, and then we roll, and then we move, and we get our postseason run underway. I think it's going to happen. So make sure you subscribe and join us for our watch party on Sunday, where hopefully this run begins.